I'm reading from the eighth chapter of Srimad Bhagwatam and from the eighth canto, the 16th chapter. Here in this chapter, it's about how Kashyap Muni tells Mother Aditi on the Payovrat, the way of worship of the Lord. She is distressed. Aditi, who is a mother of demigods, was very afflicted. Her husband, Kashyap Muni, told her how to observe vows in austerities for the benefit of her sons. Since the demigods were not visible in the heavenly kingdom, their mother, Aditi, because of separation from them, was very much aggrieved. One day, after many, many years, the great sage Kashyap emerged from a trance of meditation and returned to his ashram. He saw the ashram was no longer beautiful and his wife was very morose. Everywhere in the ashram he saw signs of lamentation. The great sage therefore inquired from his wife about the well being of ashram and asked her why she looked so morose. After Aditi informed Kashyap Muni about the ashram's well being, she told him she was lamenting for the absence of her sons. She then requested him to tell her how her sons could return and reoccupy their positions. She wanted all good fortune for her sons. Moved by Aditi's request, Kashyap Muni instructed her in the philosophy of self realization, the difference between matter and spirit, and how to be unaffected by material laws. But when he saw Aditi was not satisfied, even after he had given these instructions, he advised her to worship Vasudev Janardhan. He assured her that only Lord Vasudev could satisfy her and fulfill all her desires. When Aditi then expressed her desire to worship Lord Vasudev, Prajapati Kashyap told her about a process of worship known as Payovrat, which is executed in 12 days. Lord Brahma had instructed him how to satisfy Lord Krishna by this process, and thus he advised his wife to observe this vow and its regulative principles. So, so now we'll read from into the great details about this. So Shukdev Muni, Shukdev Goswami, he says, Shri Shuka Uvacha Evam Putreshu Nashteshu Deva Mata Didistada Rite Trivishtape Daityehe Paryatapya Danathavat Shri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, Evam in this way, Putreshu when her sons, Nasteshu disappearing from their position, Dev Mata, mother of demigods, Aditi, Tadat at that time, Rite because of being lost, Trivishtape, the kingdom of heaven, Daite by the influence of demons, Paryatapyat began to lament, Anathavat as if she had no protector. Shukdev Goswami said, O king, when Aditi's sons, the demigods, had disappeared from heaven and demons had occupied their places, Aditi began lamenting as though she had no protector. एकदा कश्यपस्तस्या आश्रमं भगवानगात् निरुत्सवं निरानन्दं समाधेर्विरतश्चिरात्. After many, many days, the powerful sage Kashyap Muni arose from the trance of meditation and returned home to see the ashram of Aditi, neither jubilant nor festive. सपत्नीं दीनवदनाम कृतासन परिग्रह सभाजितो यथा न्याय मिदमाह कुरुद्वः. O best of the Kurus, when Kashyap Muni had been properly received and welcomed, he took his seat and then spoke as follows to his wife Aditi, who was very morose. Now, Aditi was in distress because she couldn't see her sons. And so, knowing this, the sage, he woke up from his trance and went straight to the ashram where Aditi was staying. Now, it is the duty of the wife to properly welcome, give a proper welcome to husband. So, Aditi, uh, so it's like when husband arrives, then just by the, gauging the the soft ways of his steps, the wife is alerted, and then she feels, she feels a little happier, and she wants to make all arrangements possible, go and receive him. So that is the way recommended in the Sanatan Dharma, how a wife should properly receive her husband on when he comes. So it is also the way, and this is how then the wife gets longevity of her life and her good fortune. So here it is said that when Kashyap Muni came to the ashram, he was very well received and welcomed by his wife Aditi. अप्यभद्रं न विप्राणां भद्रे लोके धुनागतं न धर्मस्य न लोकस्य मृत्योश्छन्दानुवर्तिनः. O most gentle one, I wonder whether any inauspicious has now taken place in regard to religious principles, the Brahmanas or people in general who are subject to the whims of death. Now, there are prescribed duties. She asked this to the Kashyap Muni. There are prescribed duties for all the inhabitants of this material world, especially for the Brahmanas, but also for the people in general, who are subject to the whims of death. Kashyap Muni wondered whether the regulatory principles which are meant for the well being of everyone had been disobeyed. He accordingly continued his inquiries for 7 verses. So, as he knew that his wife was in distress, when he was well received in the ashram, after all the formalities were done, so it is the duty of the wife to welcome her husband home if he has gone out for some long time, and then give him some nice, first of all, in the Indian way, first of all, the wife will ask him, do you need a glass of water? So that is a very much, expected from the wife. She asks him uh, whether he would like to have a glass of water, and it's not that just she will come and place it on the table. If he's seated in the living room, it's not that she'll come and just place it on the coffee table. She will hand it over to him and ask him politely, would he like to have some water? Is he tired? Etc. This is the job of the wife. She has to ask the husband all this and give him a proper welcome. So, and comfort him and ask him whether he would like to have a dinner or lunch, whatever, right away, or wait for some time. And before that, then can she ask him, assist him with some snacks immediate. So these are the ways. Otherwise, if he is quite tired, she may offer to prepare warm water for his bath immediately. So such are the formalities the wife is expected to show to her. The wife is expected to show such respect to the husband. So after these formalities were over, अपि वा कुशलं किञ्चित् गृहेषु गृहमेधिनी धर्मस्यार्थस्य कामस्य यत्र योगो योगिम now. Oh, my wife, who are very much attached to household life. If the principle of religion, economic development, and satisfaction of senses are properly followed in household life, one's activities are as good as those of transcendentalists. I wonder whether there have been any discrepancies in following these principles. So, if a householder, grahasthashram, if the husband wife, they follow the regulatory principles properly, the principles of religion, the economic development, we are supposed to be, for the economic development, there are supposed to be cows are to be raised, and the food grains, etc., has to be grown in the farms. And not only that, for this and satisfaction of in this way, the satisfaction of the senses is properly followed in household life. So this activities take one to becoming a Krishna conscious family. So when you are properly doing all these regulatory principles, then having raising cows and rearing the cows for milk and various milk products, preparing milk products, and then cultivating good food grains crops in the farms. So, and then all the religious principles are properly followed, then one's activities are same as the transcendent bliss. So he asked if there were any discrepancies in following these principles. In this verse, Aditi has been addressed by Kashyap Muni as Griha Medhini. So in this verse, Kashyap. Here, Kashyap Muni, he is addressing his wife Aditi as Grihamedini means one who is satisfied in household life for sense gratification. Generally, those who are in household life pursue sense gratification in the field of activities performed for material sense results. Such Grihamedis have only one aim in life, sense gratification. Therefore, it is said, Yan Maithunadi Grihamedi Sukham Hitucham. The householder's life is based on sense gratification, and therefore the happiness derived from it is very meager. Nonetheless, the Vedic process is so comprehensive that even in householder life, one can adjust his activities according to the regulative principles of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. One's aim should be to achieve liberation, but because one cannot at once give up sense gratification, in the Shastras there are injunctions prescribing how to follow the principle of religion, economic development, sense gratification, dharma, artha, kama. As now, dharmasya hi apavargasya narthor thayo pakalpate. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material um, householder's sense gratification. Householder life is also meant for advancement in spiritual understanding by which one can ultimately gain liberation from material clutches. One should remain in household life with the aim of understanding goal of human life. Tattva jigyasa. Then household life is as good as the life of yogi. Kashyap Muni therefore inquired from his wife whether the principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification were being properly followed in terms of the Shastric injunctions. As soon as one deviates from the injunctions of Shastra, the purpose of household life is immediately lost in confusion. So we'll continue tomorrow with the next shloka of in this series about the Payovrat way of worship recommended by Kashyap Muni to his wife Aditi because he found her being in distress due to her worry for her sons, the demigods, after being harassed by demons a lot. Once, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household work, Mother Yashoda personally churned butter. While she churned butter, she sang wonderful childhood pastimes of her son Krishna and relished thinking of him. At that time, Krishna appeared there and he was hungry. He wanted her to stop churning the butter and feed him first. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and started feeding him. While Krishna was sucking the milk, Mother Yashoda smiled and enjoyed the beauty of her child Krishna. Suddenly, the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became angry and his lips and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lips, taking up a piece of stone, immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. Now, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order, and she saw the broken pot in which the churned yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, the child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment. After she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from a pot and was which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. Lord Krishna and Balram, they get caught by Mother Yashoda for stealing butter. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming towards him with a stick in her hand. He immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Now the Lord is fleeing in fear. Mother Yashoda chased him to all the corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is never approached even by meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing like a child for such a great devotee as Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened, and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smeared his hands over his eyes, Rudantam Muhu Netram Yugmam Rajantam, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear. Lord Krishna and Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda threw away her stick in order to punish him. She thought of binding his hands with some ropes. She did not know about it. It was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda, thus thinking uh, of Krishna as her tiny child, she did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside or outside of him, nor beginning nor end. He is unlimited and all pervading. Indeed, he is himself the whole cosmic manifestation. But still, Madhava Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. When she tried to bind him, she found that the rope she was using was short by 2 inches by 2 fingers. She gathered more ropes from house and added, but still in no, she found the same shortage. In this way, she connected all the ropes available at home, but when the final knot was tied, she saw that the rope was still 2 inches short. Mother Yashoda was smiling. She was astonished. How is it happening? Binding, binding the Lord with ropes. In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother and, being compassionate on her, agreed to be bounded by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the Lord, lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. Mare bhi rakhe bhi, jo ichha tuhar. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. Similarly, Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees. But the benediction which was bestowed on Mother Yashoda was never experienced even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or the goddess of fortune. Now, the Damodar, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Damodar, the son of Yashoda and Nanda, is never so completely known to yogis and speculators, but easily available to his devotees. After binding her son, Yashoda set herself to household affairs. At the time bound up by the mortar, bound by the mortar, wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as Arjun trees, the great reservoir of pleasure. Lord Krishna this thought to himself, Mother Yashoda, first of all, left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the butter stock in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me to a wooden mortar. I shall do something more mischievous than before. And thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjun trees. There is a history behind the pair of Arjun trees. In the previous lives, the trees were human sons of Kuber, and their names were Nal Kuber and Manigriv. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In the previous lives, they were cursed by great sage Narad. In order to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna, this benediction curse was fulfilled, and they got this was bestowed upon them, and because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. And thus the Lord, bound by the mortar, pulled himself through the trees, and this was in some mischief. He was doing it again. Children are used to mischief, and the mischievous children are they are always into such acts. The Lord also, first of all, he broke all the butter pots, and now the second mischief he's playing after being bound by the mortar by the ropes of Yashoda. So again, he's into mischief. So this depicts the wonderful childhood pastime of the Lord, and it also shows to us how mischievous he is. Is he rather than staying at one place, he is crawling up in the play in the yard of of the house, and then pulling himself through the trees. So the mischievous nature of the Lord's in his childhood form, in this childhood pastime, gives so much pleasure to all those who read this, and they want to relish this naughtiness of the Lord over and over again. And what does he do? In the mischief, he is liberating Nal Kuvair and Manigriv, the two people, the two humans who got a benediction curse by sage Narada. And this is how he is, even in the past times, unknowingly, he is benefiting so many souls. So, this Leela, Yashoda Damodar Leela, the Ukhalban, it's also called as the Ukhalbandan Leela. So, in this, Mother Yashoda is after tying Krishna. She takes so many ropes, they fall short each time. So, the acharyas, they see that this is two fingers less. We are into practicing devotion, and each time when we try to please the Lord, we fall short by two fingers. This is the state too, like Yashoda, Mother Yashoda. So we keep trying, and the two fingers short. One is our efforts, and the other is the Lord's mercy. So there is always a rise in our efforts. There is rise in the mercy. There is rise, the more we put in efforts, the more mercy we receive. This goes on and on until, and this falls two fingers short, and until the Lord's mercy is completely received by us when we keep trying. So this is a beautiful pastime of the Lord in his childhood form. And this was the Damodarashtakam that we sung was to serve the Lord in this month of Kartik. The Kartik month is soon now. It's over. It's been a month we were all into deep down, and all the paraphernalia of, it was full of festive. It gave such a festive feeling, the whole month of the Kartik, and the Damodarashtakams being sung, the Gopi Geet being sung. So that is over. But yes, the you know we have to serve Lord like this throughout the year. So the seva never stops for devotees. Those who adore the Supreme Personality of Lord, those who love Him, those who want to serve Him, for them the service never stops. It grows and grows, and they want to do more and more for Him. Now, here, Mother Yashoda, she ran with a stick behind him, and the Lord also ran all over in the yard and among the houses. There were neighboring houses. He ran from here to there, from one house to another. He pulled himself through some other doors and then kept running, and it was a festival for all the gopis watching, and they were laughing. But Mother Yashoda, then she thought, he's scared of me, so let me tie him rather than beating him with a stick. So such beautiful pastimes. And yes, Hare Krishna.